it's my way or the highway type of attitude, I think comes from the lack of wanting to understand the other person's point of view and actually looking outside of yourself to see other people's perspective, and more so about, I mean, that's where selfishness comes in at that point too.
Yeah.
Because you don't care to understand other people to actually communicate with them effectively, you kind of result to selfish tendencies and just think everything should be your way because that's the only way you know.
Yeah, yeah. Putting what you just said in the computer terms. I can't remember right now from my head what the process is called, but for a computer to go online,
Mm-hmm.
there's a communication that happens. Some of you could call it the OSI module.
Yeah.
What it means in short explanation is the the computer contacts a server, the DNS server, and then it contacts is in communication, and then the DNS respond back to the computer with the response that it has, and then the computer says, "Okay, yeah, sure, I could deal with that," and then the
Mm-hmm.
DNS says, "Okay, yeah, sure, here you go." So basically, the computer leases an IP address and all the other information that really not it's not necessary for this topic, but when it contacts the DNS, DNS says, "Okay, well, you're looking for maybe 5 T-shirts, or I have only 2. Do you want it?"
Mm-hmm.
And the computer, "Yeah, sure. I mean, at least 2 is better." It takes the 2, and then it proceeds to go online.
Yeah.
Well, that most of the time it only has 3 days. At least the DNS leases the computer 3 days of information that it needs to survive online or go online, and then later on, it'll come back again and recommunicate, and then it will renew the lease, and the computer still proceeds to go online. Most people don't know. The first time I actually learned about it, I was so excited. I was like, really? So communication is actually really the key here, because even computers have to communicate.
Yeah.
They have to talk to each other to have a network going, to have everything
Yeah.
online, to have things going in the right way. If you have one switch, yesterday I was having this issue at work where it's a reclamation plant where how the system works. The water goes into the houses from the water company. People use them. It goes back down the drain. Have you ever told where your water goes when it goes into the drain? Yeah, most
Wait,
people don't.
I was gonna say, where does it go?
Exactly. It goes back down into a drain. There's a really powerful pumps. It pumps it back to where I work. I'm in the office all day, so but there are people that deal with that part. They're big machines that filters the dirt out of the actual water, cleans it in the 7 different stages, and then it comes back to our system, and then the system cleans it again, and it pushes it back into a river, and then the water company takes it again, clean it, do their own processes, and then push it back out. Or our plant, you can actually drink the water again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all communication. It's all communication.
Okay.
I actually also noticed on your Instagram that you created a new fitness page, if I should call it,
Mm-hmm.
and tell us about it. Are you trying to looking at monetize it in the end, or you is it just a hobby? And you actually also do have a partner.
Yeah.
So
So,
tell us about that.
my friend and I, she's my workout partner, and we decided to go ahead and create a fitness page just because we get a lot of questions on a day to day about what our fitness looks like what we do, what we eat, all of that good stuff. And my brother's a personal trainer. Actually, I don't know if you knew, but he,
Yeah, I seen his page. Ooh,
yeah,
I want to be like him.
yeah,
I've been watching his videos. I actually followed him when you posted it to follow him,
yeah.
and then I was like, okay, okay. So I've been checking. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I've been checking out his channel.
Yeah. And so he's always once I got into he's part a big part of the reason why I started like taking my own fitness journey really seriously. But he's always like kind of pushed for us to make a page because he's like people are interested. They want to, they want to see how you got to
We
where
are.
you are. Like they want to see the journey, and it's also more relatable when you're actually still going through it yourself and people are asking you tips. So we finally decided just create the page. The end goal, I would say, probably is to like monetize it, get some sponsorships mainly or something like that from it. But as of right now, we're basically using it to just motivate people and kind of bring everyone with us on our journey to see what we do on a day to day and what our health looks like.
And it's working. It's working. When I followed your brother, I looked at myself and I'm like, damn. Well, when I was a teen, I used to look like that, or maybe a little bit like that. And over the years, I'm looking at myself, and I think recently when my son turned 1, and then we did a 1 year birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my friends came. He's like, "Dude, what are you doing? If I didn't know you, I wouldn't have recognized you from." We did have a picture together, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He pulled it out from his phone. He's like, what the heck? What happened to you, man? You just let yourself go like that?" So that really kind of like knocked me on my head.
Yeah.
And ever since, I have been going to the gym. So yeah, it's really motivating. And most of the things that I'm doing now, I'm looking at from your brother's page. I'm just sneak peeking, looking at it. Okay, well, how did he do that?
Yeah.
How did he get? Because I've seen his kind of like journey on his page, and it really shows where he posted. And didn't he lose his other page? Because I thought
He
he actually
did.
posted that he did
Yeah,
lose
he
his other
lost
page or whatever.
his other page. I think got hacked. I don't know. He lost his page, but he made a new one. So
Yeah,
the
yeah. So
goal is to motivate and show people that it's not as difficult as or it's not as difficult and taunting as it may seem. Like you just got to start and slowly over time with consistency, it'll be part of your routine. You'll get used to it.
So one thing I've been wondering, you guys' routine, I don't know, but it's like everything has been gender categorized. Or the workout that you guys do for men, or it's just for women? And
Um,
then also a follow up question: are there certain type of workout routines that are just meant for women? I've always wondered that. I don't know if you know the answer.
I don't think there is. I think all workouts are genderless, but depending. So the thing is, you can do the same thing as someone, but depending on your form and what you want to focus on, you could target different areas. So I wouldn't say certain workouts are for men or certain workouts are for women. It's just what your goal is, what you want to look like, and the body parts that or the muscles that you're trying to target. Focus on that form. But no, I do the same workouts as I see some of the guys do in the gym. So
Well, what about the is it the booty machine? I've seen that video where this lady, she sat on the machine and just kind of like you open up your legs and
yeah, the abduction.
basically, essentially, gonna have a big butt. Why would a man want to do that?
The
I mean,
abductor. Well, see, you need to grow your glute muscles though. If you're gonna do legs and all the other body parts, they need to be just as strong to support. You don't need to overwork them as much as other people do to for
yeah,
growth,
because
but
anytime I see that at the gym, I just walk right by it and just walk on. Like, I'm not gonna be sitting on here.
yeah.
And quite frankly, I haven't seen any man sitting on that machine.
Really,
It's
I've seen
just
a
just
few.
cause really.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, from where I work at, and maybe I should change my gym. It's cheap. Planet Fitness, big ups to Planet Fitness for making working out so cheap. But sometimes it's just a little bit overcrowded for me, and I don't like that. And especially for a beginner, it's kind of like one of the things that is holding me back. Because it's either you have to wait in line to get access to a machine, or you just don't have access to it at all.
yeah.
And then now my whole routine that I came with, I have to find something else to do.
Because you
So
don't
you
want
just
to just stand there and wait
you
around.
can't
Yeah,
stand around and just wait, and that really kind of like just one of the biggest thing that's holding me
yeah.
back with my journey right now. But I'm really highly motivated right now, and I don't think this time will be like the other times, because I'm looking at my old pictures when I was a teen back in California, Riverside, and then I think we went to the beach, and then I took my shirt off, and then my auntie took a photo of me
Mm.
halfway and my chest, and I'm looking. I was like, damn. I can't believe it. I can't believe I used to look like this.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that photo all the time. I look at it and I look at myself now. I put it up in the collage and I'm like, I have to have a third picture. I have to have a third picture that doesn't look like the middle one. So that's what I'm going from. That's why I decided to chip in your page.
So the name of my friend and I's workout page is Black Girls Workout Dallas.
What's up? Welcome to Black Girls Workout Dallas. I'm Myrick.
And I'm Justina. We have Instagram and TikTok right now. And then if you want to know too, the
Okay.
name of my brother's workout page is Fit, and he's also on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, I need to get your brother on here as
Yeah.
well. He has to tell us what he's doing that we're not doing correct.
And
Because
he's
my
very
wife,
he's much more
yeah,
knowledgeable and very technical. Like that's what he does. The anatomy of muscle groups and all of that, he can break it down for you. So
yeah, we got to
yeah.
get your brother on here, and then have a
Yeah.
chat what he did, how he got where he got,
Yeah.
and because some of us we like who there was a guy that recently I heard say something that was really funny. He's like, we are motivated over here, and if you're not motivated over this side, move away.
Yeah.
Well, some of us we are motivated, highly motivated over here on this side. So if you're not, move. Back to the other side of the conversation that we were having. What is an independent woman to you?
What is it? And I feel like that's such a controversial term these
I know.
days.
That's what I'm asking.
And honestly, so I feel like I don't think I have a personal definition of what an independent woman is, but I think what the societal definition of an
Hmm.
independent woman is, it's someone who basically is, the breadwinner for themselves. They're able to, what I consider the basic things in life, like provide for themselves, have an apartment, have their own car, are able to pay all of their bills. They don't depend on anybody to, for monetary gain or any of that, is what society sees as an independent woman. I like to argue that that's called being an adult. Like,
Okay.
man or woman, I feel like a lot of what is classified as being like an independent woman is just us learning to grow in a society that actually allows women to be equal when it comes to earning money so that they can do for themselves. So that term to me is coined out of giving women rights to work, basically.
Right. So it's not just the rich auntie vibe
Yeah,
where the woman doesn't need the man,
yeah.
but so how did we get there, or how did we get here where people, or should I say mostly women, some women would say, oh, because I have this and that, instead of relating that to being an independent woman or just growing up, like you said, or being an
Hmm.
adult. How do you think we got from that understanding to this new narrative that says, because of this, I'm not just an adult. I don't need a man. That's why I am an independent woman, because they attribute an independent woman, and the new meaning
Hmm.
that they add into it is a woman that doesn't need a man.
Yeah,
It's an independent woman, simple definition, and
yeah. And again,
like what you just said is not the same. So
it's not the same in my mind. Like I guess that is my definition than the old societal definition of it versus what it's kind of like seen as now and coined to be. But how we got here, honestly, in my mind, I think it's just the hyper focus on like financial gain. And so financially speaking, I guess like you don't need a man, you don't need any of that if you can provide for yourself. But also the narrative of like, I will never need a man for anything, or men being like, what do you need women for? And blah blah, like both sides of the spectrum. I'm like, I don't believe in that narrative because human beings in general need companionship. Like we're creatures of companionship. So
right,
it's just, but how did we get here? I don't know. Sometimes I sit back and I try to figure it out myself. Like it's just a very slippery slope, and I don't know how society got to this point. I think it's just hyper
yeah.
focused on. money
Yeah,
and what
my grandma.
people can do for you.
Yeah, my grandma used to say, "Have you noticed when a man makes money, he goes finds a woman and give it all to her, and when a woman makes money, she keeps it." It was so funny to me when my grandma said that. I'm like, "What do you mean? Why is that even a thing?"
Yeah.
It's like it's just the way it's always been. So I think that's why. That's what, or part of why this is now the new narrative. Because if men have always made money, and a man makes money, and the next thing he's looking for is looking for a woman
Mm-hmm.
to go spend it, and that's really like the truth. My grandma,
Yeah.
she she died in 2016. RP to my grandma, but she made a lot of sense with these type of things. And looking back now, and I was a kid when she started saying all of these things, but I think she is actually right, because in the sense that if in a society where one makes money or one becomes rich and he cannot live with himself, but he has to go find another partner, which is the opposite gender.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's always been the case that when the opposite gender makes their own money and then they just keep it to themselves and still take some from the man,
Yeah. But
which is very
but
interesting.
I also think that plays a role in that though is the provider aspect of it, like the tradition of men being providers, and um women are the one who they're trying to provide for. So naturally when men get money, they're like, okay, I need a woman to provide for. Whereas for us, it hasn't women haven't always had the case like to go make their own money. So when you
Yeah.
make money now, you get to make the decision of what you want to do with it. You're not in the role of a provider because society has deemed that women aren't providers. So when I make my own money, I'm gonna figure out how it benefits me. Like now, whether they choose to spend it on their family or whatever the case is, like that's their own personal choice. But society hasn't made it so women are providers, so they're not giving their money to other people. They're keeping it for themselves because they haven't always
Ah,
had the opportunity.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair though? I mean, in the Bible, even in the Bible, I don't want to talk about a lot of religion because it's really touchy.
Yeah.
But even in the Bible, it's clearly stated there that the man should provide and the woman should basically just exist and take care of the home.
Yeah.
And most people don't agree with that. So, like I said, I'm not going to touch it on that side. But yeah, you're right. It's the society that made it look like women shouldn't be doing anything. And then now, so here is my take on that. I agree. Women should be independent. I agree. Women should be able to make their own money, not keep it. Women, give us some of the money. We sometimes need it too, or not need it, but it'll be nice,
Yeah.
But well, that's just by the way. But seriously, what I'm saying is, I also think that some of the women are taking it too far out, up to the extent that okay, now I'm making my own money. I can do this by myself. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to respect you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where, for me, I consider that part as too far out, because at this point, then, what do you mean? Is it because I understand that you have the idea or the understanding that it's always been man, 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 man,
Yeah.
and then now here we are as women, so I don't have to respect you, and that's kind of I'm not saying this as a woman. I mean, as a man, I know some women actually do agree with what I'm saying. What were you about to say?
See, and I think I have split views on that because I feel like there's two parts to it. Part of that is being individual values for people. So I'm like I I do agree with you that some women do take it that far to the point where it's like I don't have to respect you if I make more than you, because then they no longer see you as the provider. They feel like they're the breadwinner in the situation so they can control the relationship. And that to me just goes back to personal values. Like they value money to equate to status, and they equate that status to who should be leader. And so automatically, if they're like, I'm making more money, I'm the leader in this relationship, you take a back seat and I don't respect you as much in that case. On the other hand, however, from your perspective of the friend, I went and I see this in a lot of cases, um, and I could say personally speaking as well, is the insecurities that are created in men when they all of a sudden know that a woman makes more than them. And so it's like for them, it creates this insecurity that they're no longer the provider, the one who's leading the relationship as well. And they project that onto women. And my thing is psychologically, if you're doing that and you're projecting onto them, they're going to take the same attitude you have about yourself and spew it back onto you. So if you're insecure about the fact that they're making more than you, and you don't see yourself as respectable anymore because of that, and you keep projecting that onto the woman, she's going to take that same attitude and give it right back to you. She's no longer going to respect you because you don't respect yourself.
So basically, you give and you get you
Yeah,
receive what you give.
basically. So how you
Okay.
see and treat yourself is how other people are going to reciprocate. And so I feel like there's two sides to it, where sometimes people just do, their values aren't aligned, and they're just not respectful by nature because they equate money to that status. But most of the time, from I feel like what I've seen is men tend to project their insecurities, and therefore women no longer respect them because they don't deem themselves as respectable.
But don't you think that is because we've seen that too many times as men, and that's why
But
we feel like that?
yes, but I also like to pose a question in those situations when that is happening and men are witnessing that. How did it get to that point? I always feel like it starts with the insecurity because it's a societal norm that men are supposed to be providers. So a
Good
lot of the
question.
time, in the like, yes, it's a repeated case that men see often, but it's happening so much because of what the societal standard is. And when people don't fall into that, it creates those insecurities, and those situations keep happening. And it's a cycle of lack of respect on, but like internally, and then in turn, women not respecting the men. So
That makes sense. That really makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I've seen situations where that has happened, and in some cases, sorry, man, but I would side with the woman in this situation. For example, if the man is not trying to do anything
yeah,
for themselves,
yeah,
if you're not, life is so short for you to not take risk or embark on a journey where you just want to try to see if it'll work out. Most men, whilst their women are going to school,
mm-hmm.
getting more educated, not just education, getting more, trying to like maneuver their way through life, trying to get something more going. All they do is become like the side drivers. And I've seen in most cases where the woman is going to school trying to be more than where she is or fit her career, and the man is just dropping her off and picking her up.
Yeah,
And I'm like, bro, you should be parking in the parking lot, going into the same building or in a different building. She's going to the left, you're going to the right into your own class
yeah,
or your own adventure. Video not quite long ago, and the guy was, I think he was not working at all, and she was, and then she
mm-hmm.
woke up, and the food that she had left in the house to eat after she, before she could go to work, the man had eaten it, and it's understandable because he was hungry, right? But she was so upset, recorded it, like beating him with a plate, and I seen in the comments most men were so upset, and I'm like, just like you asked, how did it get here? How did it? That's
yeah,
the question I asked myself. I did. I try to stay away
yeah,
from commenting, but how did it get here? How is he staying at home? She's going to work, and she doesn't have
yeah,
food. And so, again, everybody has to do their part to get to where you guys should have to get to. And if it doesn't happen that way, that's where
Yeah.
there is a problem. And so, why do you think that?
And,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
oh, I was just
Okay.
gonna tie it back to communication again because I'm like, and that's where people again should communicate and make sure that they have an understanding of what their relationship is supposed to look like. Because if for that instance, if that was never the agreement and then it ends up that way, of course one person's gonna have resentment because that was never the agreement of what you guys were supposed to do. You were supposed to elevate together. But in some cases, some people are okay with one person not doing anything or, just being taken care of in that relationship. And if that's their agreement, that's also okay. Like, I feel like no one has the right to judge if that's what
Right. If
they like to
someone is
do.
okay with that, it's always going to be
Yeah.
up to a certain point. As humans,
Yeah.
we always have limits.
Exactly.
There's no way somebody can actually continue on one type of routine and not have some pushback at some point. So, with that being said, if you're okay, it doesn't mean that it will get to a point that you will still be okay. It will get to a point it's like, you know what? Maybe if this
That's
person is actually even bringing like $10, I might catch some break. When the job gets tight, yeah, stuff
yeah.
like that. So that kind of makes sense, in that ways. So why do you think that you're making a comment about men getting bruised? Why do you think men get their egos bruised because they feel as though the apartment, well, back to the same question, makes more money than them? And I think you make this point some time ago as well. And I mean, as a man, I don't want to answer for all men, but it's not my ego that will get bruised as a man. From where I understand it and from the growth that I've gotten over the years, I actually will be happy. I'll be happy for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, or maybe in a long time, or has always been that she makes more money than me. Like you said, if the communication is right, and I'm probably doing other stuff that is not
Yeah.
monetary, like it's not money, but I'm doing something more. Why do you think we should even get our egos bruised, or why do you think other men actually do get their egos bruised?
I I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the assumed attitude that goes with a woman being like, very successful. I think a lot of the times when, again, personally speaking, when men see that, they automatically assume that you're gonna have this level of attitude, you're gonna be disrespectful, you're gonna be this and that. So knowing that you make more than them, they comes with all of those assumptions, and then again, going back to societal standards of
Oh,
men should
okay.
make more money than their women. So it's just kind of like one of those things when they see it, they they might have thought that they were successful, but to see someone that they think they're on the same level as in every other way, and they're trying to pursue that person, but that person makes more than them, now all of a sudden they feel inferior because they don't see themselves as successful as they thought they
I
were.
think we actually do
So,
that even to ourselves as men. And
yeah,
well, I don't want to make any comment on that because it's kind of really like weird as to if I'm making 50 and I'm comfortable, I I'm comfortable. Why would someone essentially be making 100 or 200 and I'm looking at, unless of course, like I always tell people, I'm hungry. I'm still hungry. This motivational speaker, Les
mm-hmm.
Brown, always talks about it. He's like, you got to be hungry. You got to be hungry. I am not satisfied with where I'm at, but I'm okay. So I'm still hungry in the sense that I still want to be able to move up, make more money, have more flexibility in my life. But I don't see why that would affect
The
me if.
time in I feel like the problem is people aren't looking for partnerships. They're looking for it's like they're looking for people to be with, but to be in control. Like I think people are thinking with the individualistic mindset when going into what should have been like a partnership. And so half of the time it's like that dynamic of a power struggle. And I think that's what our current like generation is dealing with and is having issues with, honestly. So a lot of men see that as a loss of control because they want to be the one in control of the relationship. And
Okay.
I think that's part of why the ego gets bruised. And then on the other hand, women who rub it in the faces of men like, I'm the one who makes the most money. It's kind of like I get to call the shots. I make the decisions. The same, the power struggle
Okay.
and the ability to control the relationship. But all of that together, for me, in my opinion, is problematic because why are you fighting for control in a relationship that's supposed to be a
Right.
partnership? So I think that's a big part of the problem is everybody, it's like people are out, they want to be with people, but they're still out for themselves. And it's more of like, I just want somebody here while I still live my life. It's like they're just here, they're part of my life, but it's still my life.
But I have to be
And
able
it's
to
that
step
struggle of
out and
power and
do me.
control.
And partnership doesn't
Yeah.
work like that, even in business. If we're
Yeah.
in a partnership, your reflection falls on me, how you are
Yeah.
seen or perceived. Well, just like people say, the first impression, how you present yourself or how people see you in the first 5, 10 minutes when they meet you. And then most of the time, unfortunately, stays with them probably for the rest of their life. You may end
Yeah.
up doing something else different in a better way or whatever, and that never changed. They'll always remember the first time they met you, what you did or what you said. So if you're going to be in a relationship with me, but then you want to step outside and still be somewhat you, quote unquote, which is not the picture of how we both should be, then that's where the conflict comes out.
Yeah.
And okay, so I think this will be my last question to you. Do you think women need men, and do you think that women can live without men? And vice, I mean, we know that us men is totally different for us. So my focus was just to ask about women.
Yeah. And honestly, not to get too philosophical, but it depends on how we're classifying the word need. Like, technically, does anybody actually need anybody else to live and, be successful? It's debatable depending on what you're trying to, what you want your life outcomes to be. But I do think I do think they women do need men in the overall sense of like community. I feel like people need people in general, no matter
Yeah,
how you look at it. Somebody could say, they built themselves from the ground up,
someone
but
helped
somewhere
you
along
out.
the way somebody gave you opportunity or whatever the case is. So I'm like, yes, you could technically say you don't need anyone because you have all of these things that you do for yourself now, but at the end of the day, people need people. So I don't think there's such a thing as women will never need men and they can do everything on their
Right,
own or
right.
vice
Because
versa.
I've seen some women. My wife she had a friend. I can't remember her name. She was doing the oil change. She was doing oil change in her car. She knew every ins and
Hmm.
outs of her car. Like you just said, you don't know the technical part or the features of your vehicle. She knew all of that. She could do her own oil change. And then
Hmm.
she happened to be married to a man that doesn't know anything about cars. So in that situation, someone I think at a party made mention of the fact that, oh, you don't even need anybody then, you don't need a man. And I go like, no,
Hmm.
the fact that she knew about cars, the fact that she's very handy doesn't mean that. She might have been, say, she might have been lucky enough and probably grew up with a dad or a brother, whoever she grew up with that knew these things. And then
Yeah.
as a kid growing up, you see it all the time. Of course, you're going to get into it and learn it, and then it becomes a skill. Being able to do your own car oil change is a skill. It's not, it doesn't make you much of a
Yeah.
better person, and but then once again the society comes back in and, oh, you a man, you can't do this for yourself. you have to go pay somebody money, or and then you're starting to be seen as you have some inability, which is not true. That this reminds me of I don't know if you know this, like Nigerian musician Two-Face. He said, I know you can't trust nobody, but you have to trust somebody. It was such a conflict in my mind for a long time. I was like, what do you mean? I can't trust nobody? Because I see people all the time. Yeah, I don't trust nobody. But you have to trust somebody. At the end of the day, you have to trust somebody. What do you mean? Yeah, I don't trust nobody. Yeah, I don't. But you have to trust somebody. At the end of the day, you go to the therapist and you're talking, even if I know it's confidential and all, but you're talking to another human being, So I just think that if we come to a point, just like you said, the biggest thing that you actually mentioned today that is a take home for me is the communication part, where people still need to work on communication. I think is dynamic. There are various ways. I've been seeing a lot of TikTok videos and YouTube shorts, and then I'm really getting excited about this because people are now putting short videos, trying to steer the society's attention back to where it was before, as to communication works in a different way. There's this video that I've seen a couple different versions of it, where the man is sitting on the couch, the woman comes running in and then kind of twerks, and then that's indication that the baby is asleep. Let's just go to bed, something like that. And then the man just runs after the woman, and then the video just ends. Basically, oh, the kid is asleep, we could just go do whatever we want, kind of thing like that. That's communication. She didn't say a word. Growing up, I remember in Ghana, you would do something bad, and then my mom is just going to look at you like this, not say anything, and boy, I messed up. So there are different type of communication that. Well, folks, we've come to the end of this episode. Justina, thank you so much for all the input you provided today. You made a lot of points that make sense to me personally. I'm pretty sure somebody out there, it'll make sense to them as well. And as always, guys, this is Africa Chat that you've been watching and listening to. Subscribe, tell somebody about it. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're actually going to try to see if we could get the mother guy, Christina's brother, probably on the next episode. I don't know, but whenever, if he's available and he's willing to, we try to get him on here. And some of us need to get fit. We need to stay fit. We don't know the routines. And with his permission, if he would come and actually help us out, because I need to know what I'm doing is not wrong and stuff like that. So, thank you.
What's up? Welcome to Black Girls Workout Dallas. I'm Myrick.
And I'm Justina. And today we're going to tell you a little bit about why we started this page.
So one of the first reasons we wanted to start the page was to provide a little bit of motivation and inspiration to the women out there.
And another reason is we wanted to share some tips about what our workout routine is like, our eating habits. Between the both of us, we've gotten a lot of questions, so we just wanted to be able to provide you with best ways to do certain workouts for your goals that you're trying to reach and show you the proper form.
Right. Oh, and I guess some of our goals are also to show our progress. So we'll let y'all know a little bit about where we started, where we hope to end, and how we got there. Just let us know, or comment, let us know what your goals are as well, what you would like to see. Like, share, follow.
Thank you.